Oh boy, what up, simps? We finally have tangible, well, not tangible, metaphorically tangible Silent Hill news. This is a day that I have been waiting almost a decade for, pushing 8 years bare minimum. As the last news we got with Silent Hill was PT, and that came out in 2014. Oh, and it's 2022. Fuck. To those who may or may not know, I am a Silent Hill Simp. I've covered a bunch of the games in the series on my channel. I highly recommend that you check those out after you get done with this. If you like the Silent Hill series in general, I even say good things about some of the later games. So I don't think they're all that great, but I find things in them that are worthwhile. But for this transmission that Konami had yesterday, I've been thinking a lot about it, and I've been going over the trailers a bit, and I just want to tell you what I think about each one of these things. We don't have a lot to go off of, so I'll kind of keep it brief. I'll go off of what I can, really. And I'm going to go from the least interesting to the most interesting. So to kick things off, the least interesting thing that I think that they talked about in the transmission, besides the toys, was Ascension. I think we can all agree that Silent Hill Ascension is probably simultaneously one of the more interesting and least interesting things that was shown. Most interesting in the sense that it appears to be some sort of like chat influenced Until Dawn that is like a group project that like you watch with friends or something that influences the game. And it's also the least interesting thing because I'm speculating all of that. I know almost nothing apart from there is guaranteed no reset button.
There is no reset button. Those decisions become canon and there's no reset button.
This could be interesting. But at the moment, like, I have really nothing to go off of. I worry that it will just be a bunch of people shouting PogChamp into chat. Because that, you know, people that play video games, gamers, whatever you want to call them, they will do stupid shit just because it's funny. Regardless of whether or not it's, like, good for the game, or good for the people trying to enjoy a game, or good for the developers, or anything. They will just do stupid shit. And to bank on a group of people obeying what the devs want them to do doesn't strike me as, like, a good idea. But I don't know anything about it. This is all just speculation. It could be good. Don't know. The second least interesting thing, I would say, is the movie. Now, I don't hate the original Silent Hill movie. It gets the aesthetic pretty spot on, and especially from at the time, what video game movie came even close to as good as that one? You could argue Mortal Kombat, but you would be, I think, objectively wrong. I watched Mortal Kombat. I mean, okay, look. Mortal Kombat is a great time with friends and a couple beers. The Silent Hill movie almost is just a good movie. So, I don't know. Take that with what you will. There's positives and negatives both ways. I would be more interested in the movie if it wasn't a remake of Silent Hill 2, which, again, I would be more interested in if it was a remake of Silent Hill 2 if we weren't getting a remake of Silent Hill 2 probably within the same year. It just seems like Konami doesn't realize that there are other games in the series at that point. Like, I'm cool with them remaking Silent Hill 2. I'll go over that later, but they told two different people to remake Silent Hill 2 at the same time. It just seems weird. That being said, I do think the movie will be good. As far as just interesting things from the transmission, it's probably on the lower end of it. The third most interesting thing, however, is Townfall. And I've gone over this trailer a couple times. So there's a couple things that are interesting about this trailer. This beach, it just brings back to mind Toluca Lake. I mean, with Silent Hill, that's the only body of water offhand that I can think of that is even remotely close to the town itself. The second thing, and I think the most interesting thing about this trailer, is you get this person talking. and they're talking to somebody. Why are you here? And then they quote them, "You're here to be punished," right? But you never hear this other person. So that says to me, to some extent, that this game is going to be involved. This game is going to be involving, like, by schizophrenia or like some sort of like mental condition that involve like a split personality or something. I don't know the exact terminology offhand. I'm kind of winging this video, but that's the impression that I get from this. And he's talking to himself specifically. And he says, they say, "I mean, we've done something so awful." And then there's images of like what I can only assume like some sort of like speedometer or something, or like an altitude gauge of like a plane, I think. The CRT pocket television tells me that this is like set in the 80s or something, which my original theory was that this was like going over like the fall of Silent Hill, but I mean, canonically, if the Western games are still being considered canon, Silent Hill Origins takes place in like the 70s, early 70s, or maybe even the late 60s. I actually can't remember. But my opinion of this is, I've never played any of the games from any of these developers, but Annapurna made like The Outer Wilds, which I've only played like a little bit of, and they made Stray. So as far as like the world building aspect of Silent Hill goes, I do think that they are in very good hands with Annapurna. And No Code, as far as I know, yeah, no, I've never played either Stories Untold or Observation, but I've heard good things about both of these games. I do have faith in this. I think out of all of the games revealed, apart from the Silent Hill 2 remake, this is going to be the most like familiar. Like, you're going to play this and you're going to be like, I know what this is. This is like comfort food for Silent Hill fans. Like, this is going to be a foggy town with a very kind of like anthology-influenced storytelling thing. But I really don't have any much. I'm going off of essentially one camera pan, more or less. The second most interesting thing, and I might get crucified for saying this, but I think it's the second most interesting thing here, is Silent Hill F, which I believe is a really fancy way of getting away with calling the game Silent Hills. And I'll get over that in a second. But this looks really promising. But this is a Silent Hill game that takes place in apparently the 1960s in Japan. And in this trailer, there's like a lot of motifs of like cherry blossoms or like red plants that I can only assume to be like fucking awful cherry blossom variation. And just like the trailer before, there's not too much to go off of, except that we have a definitive location and like a definitive theme of like entanglement. This looks really fucking good, okay? Like, this looks really good as a concept trailer. I have a couple theories about what could be happening in this trailer. I have a feeling that since it does take place in the 60s, that it is going to be essentially the evil of the town of Silent Hill can either like split or be transferred or was moved from Japan to America somehow. What I'm getting at is that wherever this game takes place, that is where the evil of Silent Hill always was, up until the people tried to rebirth Alessa in Silent Hill 1. In that case, the evil moved from Japan to Silent Hill as we know it today. The other thing is the name. And I want to just talk about this real fast, because someone pointed out to me that in Old English, this F, or F in general, wasn't the F that we know. It was used to distinguish between a hard S and a soft S. The F represents the soft S, which is why you find it spelt H-O-U-F-E and H-O-U-S-E-S in house and houses, respectively. And also, I'm looking here at a publishing copy of a London printed version of Paradise Lost, and it is spelt Paradise Loft, right? Silent Hills is not a hard S. It's a soft S when in that context. So Silent Hill F is some sort of revival, or it is just a title that they can get away with saying Silent Hills again. I think that's interesting. It is also, do want to clarify, it is also the musical note fortissimo or something like that. It indicates the band, the musicians steadily getting louder and louder. But I think out of all of these are technically the most interesting, but as far as my hype for it, I'm cautious. I didn't until today know who, what's his name, Ryukishi 07 was, but I have since learned that he is a renowned visual novel writer who is apparently a really good fit for a Silent Hill game, and people are freaking out about it that know who he is, and that's great. That sounds good. I've heard that this shit gets fucked, so I'm all here for it, and just the trailer alone looked fucked. I don't know who Kara is. I have no idea who this person is. Kira or Kara? I don't know. Or Kara, for all I know. And then I also don't know who the producer is either. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this person's name, but I'm still very excited. I just don't know who these people are. The other thing to be slightly concerned about is the team making it is also the people that made Reverse, that are making Reverse from Capcom. But those things are all in conjunction as to why I'm not quite as hyped as I am as the Silent Hill 2 remake. Silent Hill 2, it's the big one. How is it not the big one? Silent Hill 2 remake, I genuinely think it looks really good. And I can't emphasize enough to you how much of a simp I am for Silent Hill 2. It is the most meaningful game in my meaningless life. It single-handedly changed the way I look and view at art, the way I experience art, the way I interpret art, and the way that I just enjoy video games. Has, to some extent, at this point in my life, will always go back to Silent Hill 2. I have played this game many times, I've beaten it many times, I've cried to it many times, I've made a video essay on it, I might make another one at some point, maybe, I don't know. I love Silent Hill 2, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right here, I think it looks pretty fucking beautiful, okay? Now, look, Bloober Team is making this game. That is far and away everybody's thing about it, okay? And look, I understand. I haven't played the Medium or the Blair Witch Project game, but their execution of themes of mental issues or mental health are almost universally regarded as very poor, putting it lightly. And Silent Hill 2 has a lot of themes about mental issues and mental health and stuff, and taps into that pretty heavily. And because Silent Hill 2 is so renowned and so loved and so lauded at this point, it makes a lot of people worried that Bloober Team is going to get their fucking grubby little fingers in and just kind of make it shit. I understand, but I don't think they're going to. I think the thing that I'm most worried about with the Silent Hill 2 remake is the combat. Now, they showed 1 second of the combat, and it's from the dev's perspective. It's not even like the game. It's like a 3D environment with a nurse and James in it. And the combat in the Silent Hill 2 remake looks to be a lot more one-on-one focused. Kind of like Homecoming's. And I don't know if anybody knows this, the combat in Homecoming is bad. But the combat in Homecoming is bad because there's no iframes in Homecoming. You dodge and you get hit. There's almost no guarantee to dodge anything because by the time that you realize you're being attacked, it's already too late. There is not going to be a game that involves dodging that doesn't use iframes now after Dark Souls being released. It's just going to be impossible, okay? That being said, you can still make a bad combat system with iframes. Now, the story, I don't know, Bloober Team's involvement already because like there were so many leaks about Silent Hill 2 remake, with Bloober Team working on it, that already poisoned the water for so many people that they went into it like going to hate it. And I can't blame you, I've done that with shit too. But like, I was stunned not only by the art direction and how genuinely gorgeous it looks, but how faithful every single scene they showed was. I doubt that they're gonna change one line of dialogue. You know what I mean? Sure, you can dislike the way that James looks now, and you can kind of dislike how emotive he is now, but I mean, those are all aesthetic changes that don't really change the story that much, and the story is the most important part of that game. James being a little bit more emotive changes his character, like, a little bit, but I mean, as long as he's still like a timid guy that kind of gets a lot of shit thrown at him from people around him and he doesn't like start screaming at them, then I think we're gonna be okay. I'm actually genuinely really excited for this game. The Steam page kind of shows some screenshots with, I mean, I just look how fucking beautiful this game looks. It's incredible. They show off in the, they don't show much gameplay in the trailer. There's only like a snippet of it of like James walking down the street and like looking up at what appears to be the apartment complex. And the Steam page shows off a new puzzle. And I can only assume people look at that and say, well, Bloober Team's gonna make changes. My guy. The gameplay aspect is like, them adding new puzzles is the least of my concerns, okay? Also, I've seen posts from people, I will try to find them before I publish this video, but if I can't, I promise you just have to take my word for it, of people confirming, with a blue checkmark by the way, indicating that they know stuff about the development of this game, and Konami is very, very adamant that they do not change much. If Bloober Team does not touch the story much or at all, right then and there, we have a winner. It's over. Like, it's gonna be good. If they make a good combat system on top of it, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be better than Silent Hill 2 OG, but I could see people preferring it hand over fist over the original. Are you kidding? Bloober Team, okay, look. People hate Bloober Team for their themes, which I guess, you know, sure. But people forget that, like, The Observer happened. Like, people forget that exists because they just want to hate Bloober Team. People who have played The Observer really, really, really like that game. And I think that's, like, the one of the few games that they handled the themes right, from what I understand and what people have said. And I know this is kind of a bullshit argument to go off of because I've never played it, but, I mean, like, they have at least one great game, or one, at the bare minimum, one really good game. And I think that coupled with the art direction and Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka working on the game again, like, as long as Bloober Team does not touch that story more than, like, aesthetically, we're fine. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. The combat could be whatever. Guess what? So was the combat in the original game. It doesn't matter, okay? I just can't fathom people looking at all of these games and hating all of them. You can say they're milking the franchise now. Guess what? It was fucking dead for 10 years, alright? You can make a bunch of random shit, see what sticks, and go from there, okay? You can say they don't need to remake Silent Hill 2. Sure. It's like not having drank water for like 2 days. You're not dying, but you're really fucking thirsty. And then someone comes up to you and it's like, oh dude, I have water for you. And then you drink it and you spit it and you're like, this is sparkling water, you piece of shit. How fucking dare you give me sparkling water? And you throw the glass on the ground, it shatters, and then you fucking just walk away. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like as someone that is very excited about this shit. And you could call me like a fucking corporate sellout, okay? But I adamantly, firmly believe that, Like, everybody gets one or two things that they get to just simp out for. And Silent Hill is my one or second thing, okay? The Silent Hill 2 remake looks really good. I really hope Bloober Team isn't getting discouraged from the amount of people just shitting on them for having made a couple bad games in the past with some bad executions. I do think that, like, tackling Silent Hill 2 from Bloober Team's perspective is the best thing that they could do, because if they get it right, which they have the potential to, it might kind of it might put a lot of their storytelling back into perspective again. I don't know. It hurts my heart that so many people are so angry they found nothing. You know? It bums me out a little bit. A lot, actually. It bums me out. I feel bad for developers that put their heart and soul into a game, and then people come over before they even tell anybody what they're working on, and and just start spouting out like things that would make anybody feel bad about what they do as a creative outlet. You know what I mean? I don't think Bloober Team's heart was ever in the wrong place when they made the medium. I don't think that their heart is in the wrong place now. I think they love what they do and they want to make a good game. Why wouldn't they want to make a good game? It's Silent Hill 2. It's blatantly their favorite thing. You know? Like, I don't know. I think it looks really good. Silent Hills and Townfall both look very promising. Silent Hill 2 looks good. I feel like I ended this on a downer. We got new Silent Hill, baby! Woo! Also, real quick, all the things that people are saying about, like, oh well, Silent Hill 2, it's gonna replace the original, dude. You can go play the old one right now, and you know what's funny? You know what's really funny about that? All of these people that have big YouTube channels that are complaining that maybe the old one's not available. Maybe these people can't afford. You know how expensive Silent Hill 2 is. Yeah, all these people can't do it. I'm a big YouTuber. I can afford it. But what about the little guy? Motherfucker, you're constantly telling people to fucking pirate shit. Tell your fans to just pirate the game, okay? Just illegally download it. You adamantly advertise that you do this shit all the time. If you're that upset about the old games not being available and you want your fans to appreciate and play the old games, bring that point up. I'm tired of, like, big YouTubers being like, I really love Silent Hill, but my fans, they can't play it. They can't afford it. But meanwhile, they're like, hey, did you ever play Grand Theft Auto? Oh, man. I'm not going to tell you to download it, but you should maybe just go download it. Silent Hill 2 is really expensive.